Hello everybody, Skin Deep Beauty Vlogger here. I hope you're all really well. Today I'm kicking off Discount January with a look at drugstore products which I feel are worth the hype. There's a really loud motorbike. That's helpful. Wow, that's loud. And it would come as no surprise to any of you that watch my channel regularly to know that one of the drugstore products that I really feel are worth the hype are the Revlon lip butters. I absolutely adore these. They're one of my favourite lipstick formulas of all brands, high-end and drugstore. I've picked out 3 of my favourite shades to show you today. Firstly, we've got Sugar Plum, which is a sort of creamy, glossy finish, but with no shimmer. It looks like this here. The other 2 that are my favourites do have the glittery finish to them, but it doesn't bother me. I still think that they're lovely. They are Berry Smoothie, which is this pinky shade. The one in the middle. And Peach Parfait, which is this one here. And I wore this pretty much every day in the summer last year. I really love the formula of these. They're easy to wear, you don't need to use the mirror to apply them, but you can build them up. They're a lot less sheer than I expected. You can get a sheer wash of colour, but you can also build it up and get some pretty good pigment on your lips. They're so comfortable on the lips. You know, they're not the most hydrating lip formula I've ever tried, but I mean, I certainly miss them when I don't have them in my handbag. And I just can't rate them highly enough. I know some people don't like them, and I have found that some of the lighter shades in particular are a bit not so good. So if you've tried these and not gotten on with them so well, then I would definitely recommend trying some of the sort of brighter shades. Another drugstore product worth the hype are the Rimmel Apocalips. These won my award for Best Lip Gloss last year. I absolutely love these. I wouldn't actually call them a lip gloss, I would call them more of a liquid lipstick. Really fantastic. They don't have much of a scent. I would almost describe it as, say, a watermelon fragrance. Doe Foot applicator. I mean, this one called Big Bang is such a wow red lip colour. It's amazing, and I've literally just swatched that one swipe. Amazing, full opacity, incredible pigmentation. They're very comfortable on the lips, but they are quite high maintenance. You definitely need to apply at least this colour with a mirror and also be checking your teeth as well throughout the night because they do transfer. But I've been really impressed with these, and for the money I think they're hard to beat. I'm going to mix things up and talk about some nail products now, and one of my favourite tools last year was the Bourjois Magic Nail Polish Remover. Of course, you are still going to need to have a separate nail varnish remover so you can remove any nail varnish on your toes, but this works so well. I just couldn't believe how effective this was. I've tried this style of nail polish remover before. Basically it's a pot with a black sponge in it with a hole in the middle. You dip your finger in, swirls around, and it takes off your polish really quickly. Not quite 1 second, I did time it in my test. But certainly less than 5 seconds. Super fast, super effective, and no fuss. You don't need to use cotton pads, so it's really good. I've tried this style before where you sort of dip your finger into a hole in a sponge in a pot, and I've just never really found them to be that effective. I found that they dried out really quickly, but this is fantastic, and also it's quite weighty as well. So although it's a pricier way of buying nail varnish remover, it's by no means like bad value for money. I in fact have more than one of these. I keep one in my desk drawer at work, I keep one at home. I love them, and I've also recommended it to friends, my mom. Really rate these very highly. And talking of nails, I couldn't not mention one of my favourite nail varnish formulas. It's the Barry M Jelly Polishes. Unfortunately not available in the US, but I love these. This is such a high shine formula, you really could get away without using top coat. I tend to use it anyway, just out of habit, but amazing opacity, very quickly. Some of them better than others. For example, this shade here called Watermelon, which I think is quite an unusual shade. I could get full opacity within like 1 to 2 coats, 2 being generous. Really, I could probably get away with 1. Some of the others I need to build up a little bit more, but certainly you don't need 3 coats. I found them a little bit hit and miss in terms of how long wearing they are on the nails, but I love the colour range. I mean, this one's called Papaya, really pretty in the summer. and my favourite is this gorgeous neutral called Lychee. Now this one called Lychee is quite a thick formula, and I think part of the reason that I wore it so much last year was because I knew that if I painted my nails on, say, a Sunday night, I could get away with that manicure until the next Saturday. It really was incredibly long wearing on the nails. Some of the others were a bit hit and miss. For example, this one, Watermelon, was a much less thick formula, so it was nicer to apply, certainly less gloopy, but I found that it didn't last as long on my nails without chipping. But nonetheless, I love all of them, and I would highly recommend them if you can get hold of these. And I'm sorry for those of you that can't in the US. If you can get hold of them, I really, really recommend them very, very highly. It wouldn't be a drugstore products worth the hype video without mentioning the fantastic Real Techniques brushes. These are my favourite drugstore brushes. Really, really fantastic quality. I love the idea of how they're different colours, really nice and bright and fun. I think they make fantastic gifts, particularly if someone's starting out in makeup. But I just, as I said, can't get over the quality of these. They're all synthetic. Mine actually need a wash because I use these all the time. For me, they often replace my higher end brushes. They're all synthetic, so they work well with both powder and cream formulations. They're unbelievably soft. Real pleasure to use. I haven't had any issues with them shredding at all, which is unheard of. Even like some of my higher end brushes have shed when I've washed them, but these don't shed when I'm using them or when I'm washing them. And talking of washing them, they also dry really quickly, which is a real bonus. Everybody hates washing their brushes. It's one of those sort of chores that us makeup addicts just have to deal with, but at least they dry quickly, so you don't have to be without them for too long. But even if they didn't, I mean, they're so reasonably priced that I would be more than happy to sort of buy a couple and, you know, keep them in rotation. I really, really can't rate these highly enough. I've been so impressed with the quality, and I would be willing to pay at least 50% more, if not more. Some of my favourites are the buffing brush, which is fantastic for foundation. Liquid foundation in particular is how I use it. Really, really lovely. It gives a nice, flawless airbrush finish. The stippling brush is pretty good. I really like the contour brush. At first I wasn't too sure about this because it's quite small, but it does actually sort of fit right into the hollow of your cheekbone, and it really does the work for you. It just buffs in the product beautifully, and you don't have to do sort of too much blending work, so really love this. And last but not least, I really like this adorable little accent brush, which I like for applying shadow along the bottom lash line when I'm doing a smoky eye and just bringing the whole look together and adding a balanced look and just giving a really nice professional finish. It's super easy to use, and how cute is that brush? Another product that I really think is worth the hype, one of the best cream eyeshadow formulas that I've come across, including high-end, are the Maybelline Color Tattoos. These are fantastic, and they're really reasonably priced. These are under £5 here in the UK. I've got quite a collection of these, so I've just picked out two that I really like. Firstly, there's the shade Bad to the Bronze, which is my most used. I wore this like constantly last summer. It's really great because you can make it either a daytime look, it's really nice and wearable if you sort of buff it out, or you can take it into the nighttime, maybe use it as a base for a bronze smoky eye. Really, really pretty. It's called Bad to the Bronze in the US and On Bronze here in the UK, which I don't like quite so much, but I mean, you can see how well loved that is. These work just as well with fingers as they do with synthetic brushes. I've done a swatch for you there of Bad to the Bronze. And the other shade that I really like is called Pomegranate Punk. I think in the UK this is just called Pomegranate. I haven't used this one so much, but I wanted to mention it because I do think it's really, really pretty. I used this in my first ever celebrity inspired tutorial, which was Kristen Stewart. I'll link that below in case you're interested in seeing how I used it. But there is a swatch for you there. It's actually a surprisingly wearable way of wearing that sort of cranberry, or I guess pomegranate colour. And these really do live up to the name. They are super long wearing. I don't experience any creasing, but to be honest, I always apply an eyeshadow primer underneath my shadows, so I'm not too sure what they'd be like if I didn't do that, but I haven't had any issues with these at all, no complaints, and I love how pigmented they are as well. I would definitely pay more than £4.99 for them. Next up is a base product, and it's another Revlon favourite. I really, really like the Revlon Nearly Naked foundation and also the powder as well. I was really impressed with these. I did a first impressions video on these, which I will link in the bar below. I never really used powder on a daily basis before using this one, but since I discovered this, I've used powder every single day and I really, really like it. The only thing I would say is that it is darker than you would expect. Just be careful when you're picking out your shade, But again, this is a really fantastic drugstore powder. It's very finely milled, really lovely to work with. If you are looking for a little bit more coverage than this gives it, because it's a tinted powder as opposed to a translucent one. My packaging is broken, but I mean, I can't really complain. It's a bit annoying, but I'll live with it. I mean, that is my only complaint, to be honest, is that the packaging is so terrible, because also, not only did my powder break, but also the foundation doesn't come with a pump, which is really annoying. But I really like this. I actually think it's a really good starter foundation. The only thing that would put me off recommending it as the very first foundation is that obviously it's in the drugstore, so you're not going to get shade matched. But overall, I really like it. It's got SPF in it. I'm not going to dwell on it too much because I have done that original video, but it's a nice sheer sort of skin-like finish, but at the same time it is buildable as well, and I was actually surprised at how buildable it was and that it was a better coverage than I was anticipating. I'm going to talk about a couple more eyeshadows now, and these are the L'Oreal Infallibles. I love these. These are a fantastic, fantastic product, regardless of it being high-end or drugstore. I think it's amazing that you can get these for such an affordable price. These are almost like a pressed pigment, so it comes in this pot. You can see the colour underneath, which I quite like. I mean, it's not the most luxurious packaging. You've got a little presser in there, which you do need to keep in, and then it's this pressed pigment inside. I've done a tutorial using the blue one before, which I will link below, so I'm just going to show you a couple of neutral ones today. In fact, I'm being a little bit of a traitor to my country, because the two shades I'm going to show you are actually only available in the US, at least as far as I'm aware. They're certainly not available in the UK, because I asked a friend to pick these up for me. Firstly is Amber Rush, which is swatched here, and it's also what I'm wearing on my lids at the moment. I've got brown eyes, but I think this would look amazing on anyone with blue eyes because it would really complement them. And then this very wearable shade, this is featured in a favourites video before, this is called Bronzed Taupe. This is a great eyeshadow if you want to do a quick one shadow look, and also of course that makes it more affordable too. There is a swatch for you there. I really like these because I think they're an innovative formula for the drugstore, and also I'm so impressed with the pigmentation. A little goes a long way, and I think they're pretty easy to work with because they're that pressed pigment as opposed to being a loose powder. You didn't think you were going to be able to watch a YouTube video about drugstore products without a mention of Wet n Wild eyeshadows, did you? So of course I'm including the Wet n Wild Walking on Eggshells trio. Really like this, definitely a product worth the hype. In fact, you can see how much I like it because I've hit pan on this shade here, which is the eyelid colour. I mean, these are a great starter one. Okay, the packaging's pretty flimsy and plasticky, but I think they're great because not only are they neutral wearable shades, they're easy to work with, really great pigments for the price. They're very affordable, and also they're pretty idiot proof because they've got written where you should put them. Obviously you don't have to stick to that, but if you're unsure and you're starting out in makeup, then I think that's pretty helpful. They come with a little sponge applicator and a brush, which I tend not to bother with, but in a pinch they're okay. And again, it's got a little idea on the back of how you can use them. Quite often these Wet n Wild shadows are dupes for MAC. I've done some swatches for you here. This is the brow bone colour. Really great highlight. The crease shade along the top here. This one here, which is my favourite and the one that I hit pan on first, the eyelid shade, which is a pretty close, not perfect, but a pretty close dupe to MAC Naked Lunch. Last but by no means least is drugstore mascara. This is the Physicians Formula Organic Wear Jumbo Lash Mascara. I go for the ultra black shade, and unfortunately it's not available in the UK, but I really like this. It's a pretty unusual packaging, but I like that because it's still pretty slimline and it stands out in my makeup bag. It's a plastic bristle wand. At first I absolutely hated this because it's a pretty large wand that I found a little bit difficult to work with at first, but it really does help to build up volume like nothing else, and because it's got sort of quite firm plastic bristles, you can brush through. It doesn't clump, you can get into the little tiny lashes as well, and along the bottom lashes. The only thing that I don't like about this is that it's not in any way, shape or form waterproof. That doesn't really bother me because I hate waterproof formulas, but I mean, you really do have to be careful that you don't smudge this. I mean, I've been for a run wearing it before and come out looking like a panda, but I absolutely adore this, and it's on the shopping list whenever I've got a friend going to the US. I always ask them to pick this up for me because it's my favourite. Anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Do let me know what your drugstore favourites are, if you think that they're worth the hype, or if there's any that you think get a lot of hype that maybe aren't so great, then do let me know. And do let me know if you've got any other ideas of videos you'd like me to do during Discount January, and I look forward to hearing from you. If you're not already subscribed, then please do so. There's a button just below, and I will see you all soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!